Hello everyone, and welcome to our USA weather updates on New Year's Eve 2023. So, before Christmas, we did a few of these updates where we go through the latest GFS run for the USA, as the GFS is the model belonging to America. And today, for New Year's Eve, we're doing the same thing with our GFS 6-head run. Now, starting off today on New Year's Eve, we have a ridge moving into some northern states that is bringing colder air down into the Midwest. Also, a trough might bring some snow at times. Further westwards, we've got a general trend towards higher pressure, so therefore it'll be cold and dry, but quite mild in sunshine down to the south. Now, moving into New Year's Day, we see the trough move eastwards towards eastern states. So again, wintry risks there, also going colder with winds going into the north. Further west, it's mainly dry with a lot of high pressure around with cold but dry weather. But in the south, mild as well, especially in the day with sunshine. Now, into January, we see heights staying high over these southern and western states like the Rockies, the Great Plains, and down towards the southeast. But towards north in Canada, we see a trough of low pressure deepening, and a ridge drops from Canada into the Midwest and the Great Plains, and in comes a northerly winds into parts again of the Midwest and the East. Again, these northerly shots are getting colder as we go along. We're getting towards the heart of winter now. And also, we do have a trough moving into parts of the western coast as well throughout the new year. So that brings rain and showers, and inland some snow, especially over high grounds of the Rockies. Now, towards the first weekend of January, we see generally colder air flirting with the northeast especially. And increasingly, pressure is lowering over the USA. So we see a low pressure over the west coast and over the east coast on the eastern and northern sides of these depressions. There is likely to be a system that turns to snow with the cold air, but on the southern and western sides of the low pressure system, it'll be rain. Now we see a ridge forming then on the east coast that dries things out there, but to the west we see a deep low, and that brings on the eastern side of it some storms possibly, and a lot of rain. On the western side, snowfall and northerly winds. So a storm here coming through there. Actually, it goes very windy as well as that low tracks towards the Midwest, and actually very mild for the East Coast, but possibly blizzards for the Midwest on January 10th, if it's correct. Then, general low pressure over the west and high pressure towards the east of the continent. And actually, increasingly, again, the jet stream comes southwards. We have a lot of low pressure involved in January. And down comes colder air from the north, fueled by this deep low towards Canada. And that brings all sorts of wintry risks towards the middle of January. Now, finally, we see a bit more ridging as the jet stream comes northwards. So dry out in the south, but further north, it's very wintry with a lot of troughs around and northerly incursions. So now we've done that part, we'll look at the upper temperatures. So here's today's chart. So again, colder air coming into the Midwest there for a time, but elsewhere it's mild in terms of upper temperatures, but it can be cold on the surface. Now going into New Year's Day, that cold air moves eastwards towards the northeast of the USA, and elsewhere it's generally milder. But look, the cold air is gathering pace towards Canada, and it comes southwards into the, again, Midwest and Northeast at the end of next week. And elsewhere it's quite chilly on the ground, but again, technically, it's a mild air mass. Now, we push further on, and these low pressures get involved they drag up warm air from the south, again on the eastern side, like here, but on the back edge of the lows, cold air plunges southwards, very cold air on that low, will bring snow with it, blizzards across the states, from the Great Plains all the way eastwards to the northeast, and that clears off, but a next low forms over like the Midwest, central areas, Great Plains, so on, and that tracks eastwards again, bringing snow on its northern and western edge especially, and also possibly in the south of the low. And actually, this cold air really bites. Look at that deep cold pool that's covering many areas of the northern Great Plains, Midwest, and the northeast by mid-January. But elsewhere it stays technically miles. But when these low pressures come along, these winter storms, it will be wet with storms and heavy rain. Look at this. Here is the temperature chart by mid-January. Huge cold pool digging in to the north versus now there's barely any cold up there. So into January, we're getting towards the heart of winter time now. It will really bite. It's like winter's coming basically now for the USA. It's been quite a mild December for many areas with these green and orange colours over the USA, but that's about to change, especially for the north and northeast. So thanks for watching. Hopefully that was informative. Happy New Year's Eve, and I'll see you tomorrow.